My debut was supposed to be against Nigeria. That game got postponed. And my debut was against Brazil, playing against the likes of Ronaldinho, young Neymar, Tato, were just surreal, like just amazing, like wow, I'm like, wow.
Thanks for listening to the latest Beyond the Backfall podcast, available on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single episode.
Welcome to Beyond the Back Four. Today we've got a special guest. We are joined by Adomah. So he started at Harrow. He made it to the Premier League and the World Cup. So how did he do it? What fueled him? What are the stories behind the scenes? And what happens when his boots finally come off for good? I'm Sam Homewood. Joining me as always is Graham Bailey. And we're going to ask those questions. Albert, firstly, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in a good place at the moment. As you guys know, I'm at Warsaw FC at this moment in time. And I hope you guys are well too.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Right, let's go all the way back. So the first big club for you, obviously, is Harrow Borough. But even before then, young teenage Albert, before teenage Albert, is the dream always football? What's the passion? What's the ambition? What's happening? Tell us about your life.
Well, before I joined Harrow Borough, I went to Charles for the reserve team. And when I went there was about 80 people there, and 11 were training beside us. I positioned in different positions when I was trialing out: left back, left centre half, in goal, striker, you name it. So I didn't get in. They told me to come back. But 2 weeks later, I went to my local park playing. I met a man called Chris. He said he knew the manager there at Harrow Borough, the first team manager at the time. So the first team manager advised Chris for me to come for the 18s, because I was 18. That's why I went to the reserves to try out, just to see if I can get in. Because my birthday is quite late, December, birthday. So he told me to come to the reserve, to the youth team. I went to try out. They signed me straight away. I played about 20 games for the youth team, 18s, scored about 8. And then, funny enough, I went to join the reserve team, the team that told me not to. The team that didn't pick me, basically. I joined them, scored 4 and 4, and then straight away I got promoted to the first team. And the first team manager, I forgot to mention his name, David Howe. He was very good to me. But when I got to the first team, there was different people, different background, working men, different trades, nurse, doctors, plumbers, painting and decorators, just like myself, as you know. I'm sure you probably know this already. But I was a striker. That's why I was scoring goals, moving up the rankings from the youth team to the reserve. And then the first team manager knew my talent. But when I got to the first team, like I said, there's working men there where they get paid for their expenses to get to the stadium and whatnot, petrol money. I wasn't driving. So the manager had to find a position for me in the first team, because I think there was about 5 strikers there. So he put me on the wing because he knew my pace. He knew I could score goals. So I was on the wing, crossing the ball in for the strikers to score. And then maybe now and then I might just chip in with goals. And hence why I became a winger, because the manager had to find a position for me and I was creating chances and chipping in with goals. And that's how my wing play became known to all the Borough supporters and other supporters.
Certainly did. You mentioned being a painter and decorator. Now, you were studying your level 2 decorative finishing and industrial painting, I think is right. So, are you thinking, I'm going to be a painter and decorator, but I love football, so I'm playing some football? Or were you thinking, yeah, I'm probably going to play in the Premier League and the World Cup and make more appearances than anybody else in the Championship, but just in case I get a really bad injury, I'll do a bit of painting and decorating?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Growing up, I didn't think I'd be a footballer. I thought I'd be a fireman, and saving people. That's one thing that I wanted to do, help people out. But me doing the painting and decorating, I think it was just more just to have something there, just in case. Like my parents always say, just do something, just don't commit to one thing. So I think whilst football was going on, I thought I might have to just do painting and decorating just in case. And which came in handy. As you can see, my house, I painted it myself. I saved myself arm and leg. You know how painters and tradesmen always charge over the on. So I could save myself a few bobs. So that came in handy. But on a serious note, my parents always said just have something there just in case. And whilst I was playing at Harrow Borough, I wasn't thinking that far ahead, becoming a Premiership player or World Cup player or the most appearances in the Championship. I think it was more like a stepping stone. I always say this to people. I've played at every level of football, you name it. And I could say, yes, Sunday football, yes, Saturday football, yes. Before I joined Harrow Borough, amateur and combination football, yes, cage football, yes, Power League football, yes, men's football on a Sunday, Saturday. I've played, you name it. I've played every football you can name off, street football, everything, and for me, I think it was more or less stepping stone, step by step, and that's what I call it. I think my autobiography might be called Step by Step, from playing street football to the World Cup or to the Premiership. But I haven't named it yet, but that's another topic. But I think it was just more grinding it out and just hoping that hopefully one day I can just become a professional footballer, and that's what happened, signing for Barnet.
I mean, you've taken us there. Tell us about Barnet. I read that you were sponsored by John Motson whilst at Barnet.
Oh yes, it was a great honor to be sponsored by the well-known voice, the distinct voice of John Motson, and Barnet was his local club. And I don't know if you know London well. North London is that more, the two teams, Tottenham and Arsenal, and most of the supporters did support one of the big teams because obviously they're in the Premiership. But I think John Motson wanted to give something back to the community, which was very great, and it was a pleasure that he was the one that sponsored me, and very iconic voice that you hear on the radio, BBC, on the telly, Match of the Day, other stuff, you hear his voice, you never miss that voice. And I think for me, it was a great honor for him to sponsor me and for me to actually meet him in person. I think I was a bit starstruck when I first met him. 'Cause I'm thinking, oh, that's actually him, that's his voice. So I think it was an honor. And a few years after that, when I saw him at one of the Players Awards night, he was there. I said thank you to him again. And I think he said something where he said he still got my Barnet shirt, which was great. It was touching actually. He said he still got one of my Barnet shirts hanged up in his, I think, other daughter's living room or son-in-law's living room, which actually touched me. I'm like, wow, for sponsors to still have my shirt in his house was amazing. So may his soul rest in peace,
Now, we're getting closer and closer to Middlesbrough, so I know Graham will be really keen to ask you some questions. But before we get there, I want to talk about your exit from Barnet, because we're now slowly, as you said, step by step, we're moving up and moving up. The next step is Bristol, but you were Barnet's Young Player of the Year. They wanted to keep you. You said, actually, no, I think I can do more in the game. I can go a bit further. They offered you you can tell me this is wrong, a 20% pay increase, which would have made you the highest paid player in the club's history. And as someone who was studying painting and decorating, I imagine what we're talking about is loads of money. So it would have probably been really easy to accept that. How much did you have to believe in yourself to say, no, I'm going to turn you down because I think I can do more?
I think when I just got to Barnet, I mean, I had an agent, and I don't know if I said this story before, but when my agent first coming to watch me, I think I had one of the worst games, But my manager, David Howe, at the time at Harrow Borough, assured me that don't worry, everything will be fine. And then after that, one of my worst games, I signed a deal with my agent. I think my agent sort of guided me when I was at Barnet, when I signed for Barnet. And I think that's one of my highlight in football, before my achievement. I think me signing a professional contract just to say, yes, I've made it. Not finally made it, but I think it was a bit of a relief, knowing that I've put pen to paper. Now I'm going to train Monday to Friday, whereas before I just trained on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, rushing from work to get to train and make sure I'm not late, catching every bus, every transportation to get to training. So I think it was something different, knowing that I've put pen to paper and now the professional football. I think it was a bit of a relief saying, yes, I worked hard for this. And for me, when it was time to leave Barnet, I mean, it was a great place. It gave me a platform in League Two football. It was a great place. And I think it was the right time to leave. Like I said, I had the guidance of my ex-manager, David Howe, and my agent, Tony Finnegan, who I'm still with at this moment in time. I don't know if you guys know Tony Finnegan. Some of you might know. I think Graham might know him slightly. So,
well, I'd just like to say, Albert's move from Barnet to Bristol City actually played a part in my own career. It was one of the very first transfer exclusives I did. Through touring. So obviously I've known Albert since those days, but yeah, it was for Sky Sports. And you can, I think the link's even on Wikipedia, that you can see that first exclusive from Tony Finnegan talking about why Albert rejected the contract offer and stuff. And yeah, so it means a lot to me. It brings an awful lot back for me as well. That doing stories as a young journalist about a Barnet player. And they were a league club back then. It wasn't like the non-league, like they are now. It's fantastic to see them back in the league, isn't it, Albert? But to go to Bristol City then, it was a big thing for me, and a massive thing for you to take that step up from League Two to the Championship, because we still actually, even though all those years ago, we don't really see Championship clubs taking that risks even to this day.
Yeah, it's just, you're right, it's right. I think just recently, like, there's League Two teams where they'll go to non-league just to get one or two players, but I think it's very rare that you get League Two players straight to the Championship. Maybe League One, but I think there's ability even at Warsaw. There's so many talented players where I know they could play at a higher level. So yeah, there's the players are there. So me leaving Barnet at that time, I think it was the right decision at that time. I think Barnet left it a bit too late, to try offer me the highest paid player. Like you said, I was doing painting and decorating, and obviously working playing for Harrow. When I stepped up, the money was good enough. Wherever I was getting, I'm like, wow, I'm blessed. And for me to leaving the club, and for them to try to honor me with the highest paid player, that shows you something, that my ability was there. I was an asset to the club. And I believe they got a bit of a compensation. So when I left, so I think that was something little for them, but at least they still achieved something from it. And I moved on to the Championship, Bristol City, and that's the first team that gave me that platform, like Graham said, from League Two to Championship. And I think it was Steve Coppell at the time that signed me. I think he only lasted 2 league games, and then he sort of retired from football. Where I thought, oh, that's it, manager signed me, and he just retired from management. I'm like, oh, that's it, which was very strange for managers to sign you, and then 2 games after he just leaves. I'm like, oh, what's going on? It's not like the club sacked him. He actually just said he had enough, and that was it. I'm like, wow, what am I gonna do now? But I guess I was good enough to manage it and to come through it at Bristol City.
I'm going to give Graham his big moment in 1 second. I want to ask you one more question, and then we'll go mad on the borough. What was it like? Because it's such a quick period of time from you being at Harrow, and now you're in the Championship. Did it feel like a massive step up? Did it feel easy? Did it feel like your life was changing drastically? Because from the outside, you think of a young man making that journey, and suddenly they're in the Championship. You go, whoa, that must feel like a real head spin, and you must feel like you've made it, and it must be really cool. But like, obviously, when you're doing it, I guess different.
I think once I adapted to it as a League Two player, professional player, when I stepped up, I could see the only thing that I could see was just the intensity level. I knew that I had to be fit enough to obviously keep up with the players there, because every player was sharper than me. Yes, I might be better at dribbling and other stuff, but I wasn't as sharp as them. So I think once I've trained, few months training with the team pre-season, which really helped, because pre-season, that's when I knew my level. I need to be fit enough to obviously maintain that kind of speed. And I remember my first game in the Championship, I think it was against Millwall. Yeah, Millwall at home. If I might be wrong with Millwall, Blackpool. I done 1 or 2 actions dribbling with the ball. As many Barrow supporters have seen me run with the ball on a wing. I done the first action. I was out of breath, and the ball came up to me again. I'm like, I can't run. I have to pass the ball off. Whereas before, I just wanted the ball, run with it. But this time, I'm like, what's going on? So everything, the adrenaline, the intensity. So I had to sort of adapt to it. And once I adapted to it, it's like, it was just like bird on water, or fish in water, if you want to say, So just adapting to the intensity level. And I think that was the difference, stepping up to the Championship from League Two. If you're fit, you'd be good. And once you get used to the training sessions, the rest will take care of itself. Because as players, we all got different, unique ability. So my ability managed to come through, and the supporters were able to see it at Bristol City and onto Barrow as well.
As you were saying, Sam, the quick journey in just 5 years' time, you've gone from being a paint and decorator to being a £1 million footballer. Tony Mowbray, the Middlesbrough legend, signed you at the time, and £1 million doesn't sound like a lot now, but back then Middlesbrough weren't big spenders, and £1 million was an awful lot to Middlesbrough back then. They spent an awful lot of money on you. That was their full budget at the time. Tony Mowbray entrusting you to come in, but was there any apprehension about the North East move? You are a Southern boy. You're at Bristol, which isn't far, but to move up to the North East is a different country to a lot of people. It's a long, long way. Were you apprehensive about that, or were you just delighted to move to such a massive club like Middlesbrough?
So Barrow gave me the opportunity to apply my trade again in the Championship, and Tony Mowbray was the one that signed me. I think I was saying, because every time I played against Barrow, I think I scored, I think 5 and 6 or something like that, or 4 and 6. So I think he knew about my wing play, so it was a no-brainer for him to sign me. And obviously, it's a pleasure that he signed me. And every time I played against his team in the past, I've always said thank you to him for signing me, because if it wasn't for him, the Barrow supporters wouldn't know about Albert Adomah. And I'm ever thankful for Tony Mowbray for giving me that opportunity to play at the Riverside, and obviously the support is always immense. Even since now, when I go back and play there, the reception is unreal, and that's something that's always sticking with me, and like I said, it's a step by step, and for me to step into the Riverside, something that a stadium that you used to see on television, and for me to actually play there, it's like, wow, it's unreal,
Let's focus briefly while we're here on the Championship. What were the seasons that stand out for you? Had so many campaigns where you reached semi-finals and finals and came second, and just a constant chase for promotion.
I'll just say, I believe it was my first season where I finished top scorer. For a winger to finish top scorer was like, oh wow, I can actually score goals again. Like I said, in my old club, I was a striker turning into a winger, whereas I'm used to assisting goals, and I think my mindset was changed, just trying to provide, and that's what I was known for. Once I stepped into professional football, assisting goals, and when I do score, it was more like, oh, it's a bonus, because now my mindset was different, and for me to get to Barrow and Tony Mowbray saying, look, Albert, I sign you to attack. I just want you to attack, score goals, and obviously assist. And for me to finish top scorer, knowing that we had, I think, 5 strikers there, for me to finish top scorer, that speaks volumes, So I think for me, I was very happy with that season, showing the supporters that I can score from a wing, and it's very rare for wingers back then, where we used to play not inverted wingers, proper wingers, right footer winger, and a left footer winger on the left, and crossing the ball in for the strikers. So for me to be top scorer was amazing. And also my last season, getting promotion to the Premiership was like icing on the cake, reaching the Premiership was amazing. I think it was the 2016. Was it 2016? Yeah, if I've got the date right. The last game playing against Brighton was amazing. I think it was 7th of May or something like that, playing at home to Brighton. I think I've got the date right, I'm not sure. You can do the checks just in case. But I think it was May the 7th, so it was amazing day, I think drawing 1-1, I think the score was 1-1. We needed to draw a win, and we get the promotion, automatic promotion to finish second was a joyous moment, for the Barrow faithful.
Graham, what was your reaction as a Borough fan when you found out Albert was leaving? I imagine before everybody else.
Well, actually, a funny story. Albert actually played in the Premier League for Middlesbrough. I was delighted. A friend of mine, and then I don't know if Albert remembers. Albert rang me to tell me about the interest from Aston Villa, and actually, I was actually on holiday. I was on a lad's holiday in Las Vegas at the time, if you remember, Albert. And I was getting phone calls early in the morning, but I was with a bunch of Borough fans, so it was fine. And we were all a bit shell-shocked, actually. It was like, well, he started the season with us, and we're selling him to Aston Villa. Yeah, it wasn't a decision that went down very well with the Borough fans. I know that Adomah Traore came in the deal for Albert, but actually we'd signed a Danish winger. Aitor Kranke had signed a Danish winger, Victor Fischer, who, yes, will go down in Middlesbrough history I don't think so ever, because he was an absolute flop. And yeah, a lot of Borough fans still look back at that Albert now, where we went down dismally the following season, relegation, and yeah, it's one of the deals that I think was looked back on with real annoyance by Middlesbrough fans, and for good reason. But yeah, I was sad to see him go. And the fact was, Middlesbrough is Middlesbrough and Aston Villa is Aston Villa. The fact we were selling him to Aston Villa told us, if Aston Villa want this player, why are we selling him? That was always the bugbear. We weren't, if when Aston Villa want your player, even though there was a division difference, it's still Aston Villa, and that really got to us. But yeah, I know Albert was saying about it, but again, Aston Villa was a hard club. Obviously, you didn't turn them down, Albert. But, and I'm not going to take offence as a Borough fan, but wasn't it weird going from a Premier League to Championship, but you were joining a bigger club?
For me, obviously, there's more to the story. As players, we can only just sometimes do what we're told, or you might not get on with the manager, or maybe it's the right time to move on. So there was a bit more to it, because like I said, it was one of the joyous moments, getting promoted to the Premiership. And I would call it a promised land, but for me, I don't think it was a promised land, if I'm honest with you. As a player, it wasn't. Yes, for the Barrow faithfuls, it was an amazing day. We got there. I managed to play 1.5 games, because I started the first game. And the second game against Sunderland, when I was on the bench, I knew that obviously Villa were after me. And I knew that the time has come for me to move on. As a player, sometimes you just know, because obviously contract talks, if you want to know, contract talks didn't go well. So there's a team lurking for me, which was Aston Villa. And for me, I had to make a decision where it will benefit myself and my family. And hence why I had to take a step down to go to the Championship. Like I said, if you put 2 and 2 together, it was down to contract talk. That didn't go well. So I had to move on. And there's more to the story as well. Like I said, it's down to the contract talks. It didn't materialize. I went to Championship with Villa. And even my spell at Villa, like you said, when Barrow got relegated, they wanted me. And I'll tell you an insight. They wanted to pay me more than what they would have paid me in the Premiership. So
Borough wanted you back?
Yeah, they wanted me back at one stage when I was at Villa. So this is exclusive for some of your followers, for Barrow's followers. And it was, at the time, it was Tony Pulis. So I don't know what season that, but it was Tony Pulis. He rang me and I had to break it down to him. So that's what I mean. Not a lot of people know inside and outside of football, but it's an exclusive just for the Barrow faithful. And that's why sometimes I don't like doing podcasts, so that's where people, what happened? Albert could have stayed, Albert could have come back, but that's the reality of certain situation in certain people's career and certain people's life. That's why people always ask, why do you go to the Championship? I'm like, well, I worked hard for one team to achieve the promised land, but in all honesty, I didn't get rewarded. Even it doesn't matter if the manager didn't want me there, I didn't get rewarded. So let me just put it that way. But then Barrow wanted me back. So that tells you something. That's when I was in the Championship. They wanted me back to come and help them again to achieve that dream. So that's an exclusive for all the Barrow supporters. There was a spell at Barrow when I was there at the time. And I think most of the supporters know this. Graham knows this. And we had a manager, Karanka. Everyone knows he disciplined a lot of players, and I encountered a little bit of a situation with Karanka. Like I said, I'm still playing and I have to be respectful to everyone, because managers always give opportunity. The chairman gave an opportunity. Director of football gave me the opportunity. So I have to be ever grateful. And that's why like I said, I don't like doing podcasts, because then it's like, I want to speak my mind, but I'm not retired. So it's a bit hard, So, yeah, so me and Karanka, most of you know, we had a little bit of a situation where he wanted to discipline me, but us me being me, I had to stay on my ground, stay on my shield. So I think I went missing for, I think, nearly a week or a week and a half. I'll just say 2 weeks. I didn't play for about 2 weeks, So, and then eventually we made up, I apologized, and the situation resolved itself. And I got back into the team. And I think it's the 2016 season when I got back into the team, helped the team, and obviously we got promotion. And this is to do with contract talks as well. Probably that's why it didn't materialize for me to stay in the Premiership. That's probably part of it as well. But me and the manager made up, you know. I don't know if most of you remember, I scored a goal, I was in the sub, I come on for Brentford, we're drawing 1-1 or 2-2. I think it was 2-2 or something like that. And I come on, set up a goal, or I come on, I scored a goal and won that game. And I run over to Karanka just to obviously cover that darkness over what's going on with Albert and the manager, just to put everyone mind at ease. And after that, I done that, obviously me being a man and him being a man, just to show the supporters that I'm in his good books. And then after that, the rest was history. We got promotion that same season. So I don't know, like I said, if my contract situation could have been better. Obviously, if me and him didn't have that altercation, then maybe he could have maybe encouraged the director or the chairman to maybe say, yeah, give it to Albert. He deserves it. But that wasn't the case, hence why I moved on.
And I'm going to move us on now. You've got the shirt behind you. Tell us about your international career.
Oh, it's a moment, you know. I obviously, as a youngster, like I never thought that I'll be playing for my national team. I didn't even know the process of how I'm going to play for the national team, watching them on telly, age 7, 8, thinking that one day I want to play just like the old players, you know, the national team players, thinking, wow, I would love to play for my national team. And for me to actually achieve that goal, made my debut when I was at Bristol City. And I think I went to the World Cup when I was at Borough. Yes, I went to the World Cup when I was at Borough, actually, you know, so it was a great achievement, proud moment. I think more for my parents, you know, my dad, and for my mum, you know, because both born in Ghana. I was actually born here, but I lived in Ghana from age 1 to age 10. So I came back to the UK when I was 10, you know, so I sort of knew the lifestyle, the culture, the tradition. I speak the language because English is never my first language, believe it or not. Even though I was born here, English wasn't my first language. It was my local dialect, which is Tree, you know. So I spoke Tree first, and I had to come back to the UK to learn English. My English is just about okay. So, well, it should be because I've been living here for years. So, yeah, so I had to sort of relearn certain things, you know, which was quite difficult, but I managed to come through it. But for me to represent Ghana at the World Cup level was just amazing. Because my debut was supposed to be against Nigeria. That game got postponed. And my debut was against Brazil, playing against the likes of Ronaldinho, young Neymar, Pato. Were just surreal, like just amazing, you know, like wow, I'm like, wow. Even when I was on the bench, I'm thinking, there's no way I'm coming on because our right back got sent off after 15 minutes. He couldn't deal with Neymar. So I'm thinking, oh, there's no chance that I'm going to come on this pitch to make my debut. And then out of nowhere, I'm warming up. The manager's like, come on, Albert. Change like Superman. And then he put me on the pitch. And then that was it. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. For my parents, my brother, and my friends, family and friends to see that. I think it was at Craven Cottage at that time as well. So it was amazing playing against Brazil, and to go to the World Cup in Brazil was like, wow, this is just a story in itself, you know. Made my debut against Brazil and then going to the World Cup was just amazing in Brazil, you know, it was just amazing. And for me to make an appearance as well at the World Cup, I think it was against USA. Same thing when the manager called me. I think it was 1-1 at the time. He just went, Albert, and I was just beside him, chained like Superman. I'm like, yes, this is my chance. So before he could even say get changed, I just knew. I'll just change. So I'm ready, Gaffer. And then I'm on the pitch, you know, and that was like, wow, I've actually done something amazing. And not a lot of professional footballers can say they've played at the World Cup. Even the ones with honours, with medals and trophies, not most of them can say they've played a World Cup, you know, so it's just amazing. The biggest stage, the world stage, for me to do that was just surreal for my parents as well. It's a proud moment.
Talk to us about how at the age of 37, just this month you scored your 100th goal. You played, I mentioned it at the start, more times than anybody in the championship. How have you kept going? How have you found the drive and the determination to stay at the level?
I think they're just working hard, just still being focused and committed. And I think, like I said, step by step, it's where I started from. The hunger of knowing that I can progress to the next level, and sort of integrate, just integrity, not integrate, no, integrate. Sorry, integrate into the place or the level that I'm at. So I think that's it. Like I said, the intensity level when I stepped into the championship and even the premiership, and obviously back to the championship where I found my level, played most of the games in the championship level, made the most appearances in the championship. So I think that speaks volumes, the longevity of me just keeping fit and just sustaining my levels of performance. I think that's what it is. And I think it's not even about age. Nowadays, we've got sports scientists that helps with nutrition, the intakes of what you eat and things like that, which helps. Well, back in the day, people just finish game, they just want to go out clubbing and drink and come in and hopefully perform. You have players that are a bit tipsy and hopefully just go through it. And I feel like now it's more professional where you don't get that. Yes, people go and celebrate, but they know they have to come back sharp, come back fit. And I've noticed that throughout the levels that I've played at, so with the sports scientists coming in, I think that helps. And for me, I think it just, keeping my level of focus and just still being professional. So I still believe I can still carry on. And I think that's what it is, just being hungry. And also, I don't really think about my age. The only time I was thinking about my age is when I changed my shirt number to 37. As everyone knows, I'm 27 for Barra. Before that, I was 27. So when I changed my shirt to 37, my target was to reach that number, Unks 37. I know most of you might know now, my handling name is Unks 37 on social media platforms. So my goal was to achieve that, reach 37, age 37, and then see what it might takes. And I've managed to tick that one off now. So now I think I've played nearly about 750 games. So the next target to maybe set for myself as an individual is to probably reach 800 professional games, so I think that'll be the next one. And if I could get a promotion in that as well, that'll be amazing. Just to make it a hat trick of promotions, that'll be amazing.
Obviously, we didn't quite talk about keep on all the other teams. Looking back, Albert, and really proud of you. You played so many games, so many teams, over 100 games for 5 different teams, which says a lot about you. Have your former clubs though, away from Middlesbrough now and Bristol City, looking at Villa and Forest, your 2 teams who are flying high in the Premier League, which of those 2 teams would you be most excited about? I know because you had a good season at Forest when you did, only 1 year, but you had a season there. Out of those 2 teams, looking forward just to the season, who would you be most excited about?
I'll be most excited about Villa. I think Villa holds more to my heart because obviously I got promotion with them, and also I still keep in contact with 1 or 2 players there. So I think that's the case. But obviously, for me, I follow every team that I've played for in the past, even if it's a rival team, for example, Forest and Villa. I'll still will Forest on if they're playing against maybe Sunderland or other teams. I'll still hope that they do well. Don't get me wrong. Even though I was there for a season or maybe 3 months in football terms, I was only there because I went from Forest to Cardiff on loan where I played every game. So I think for me, I follow every team. Like I played for Cardiff, but I played for Bristol City where I had one of my best footballing career for people to see me. But I'll follow every team, So I play for them. I follow every team, wish them well. So for me, obviously, I live in the Midlands as well, close to Villa. I'm still like 5 minutes from the Villa training ground. So I can't say Forest. So I had to travel 45 minutes to Forest, so 5 minutes to Villa training ground. So I can only wish Villa well. We played Villa in pre-season. The amazing support that I got from the Villa faithful was unreal. Just like I said with the Barrow supporters, they talked to me. I helped them to achieve something amazing. And 8 years on, when I play against them in a friendly 2 seasons in a row, I had a great reception, and that speaks volume for itself. So for me, I hope that Villa will do well and hopefully make the Champions League again. And if they need a striker now, I'm a striker. Maybe they can come for me again. Age is just a number. So I wish that Villa would do well in the Premiership. Same with Forest. You know, I wish that they both do well, but I'm fan of more Villa than Forest, if I'm honest with you, because it's just a situation. Like I said, with the podcast, it's hard to go into it. When I finish playing football, I can speak my heart out. I don't want to say anything bad about any teams.
And we'll get you on when you do retire. And I'm not trying to retire you, because we know you've just set the target, 800 games. But have you thought about what you'll do when you do hang up your boots for good?
I mean, what would I do when I finish hanging up my boots? Maybe just relax, you know, because it's been nearly 20 years of professional football. I've never have envisaged me playing for nearly 20 years, if I'm honest with you. Because for me, I sort of started off late in football terms because I never played for no academy. So turning professional at the age of 20, about to turn 21, and now I'm 37. It's like, wow, 17 years or 18 seasons in football terms. It's like, wow, you know. So usually football age, retirement age is about 30. If you're blessed, I'll say 30, 32, maybe 35. That's the original retirement age. So for me to surpass that, that means I'm very fortunate to achieve that. You know, I'm blessed that I was able to do that, and I'm still going. But when I do stop, you know, hopefully I'm still healthy. That's the main thing. I don't want to be injured before I stop playing. That's one of my goals as well. I want to retire knowing that I stopped when I wanted to stop, not because of injury. So hopefully I'll be praying still that I still keep fit and come through that. And then after that, I've done my B license. So if any coaching thing comes involved, maybe I might take that path. But I think once I retire, I think I'll probably just take a break. And then maybe if I want to go into it, then I can sort of put my knowledge onto the youngsters and help them. Well, wingers. I want to do one-on-one session with wingers and just show them the ways of crossing the ball, or maybe just helping them receive the ball. But with the new generation, as you know, everything is technology. So it would be nice to actually hear it from an ex-player, someone that's actually come through the process, you know, and maybe they can just take a bit of wisdom from what I sort of teach them or told them.
Albert, that feels like the perfect place to end this episode. Thank you so much for your honesty and for just sharing with us so freely, and also giving us the exclusive about Middlesbrough wanting to bring you back. I imagine Graham's be writing that one up.
And thank you for having me, guys, Sam and Graham. Thank you for having me. And hopefully in the future, when I do retire, I think you guys will be the first podcast where I come to open up everything to you, so you can ask me more details of why I actually left, and then I can break it down to you. Like I said, I don't want to offend anyone in the process whilst I'm still playing, you know. So I'll leave it to you guys. You guys will be my first guest to ask me any Barrow questions, and then I'll let it there. I'll let it fly.
Sensational. Albert, thank you so much. Graham, thank you so much. There it is, the story from Harrow to the World Cup, and 100 goals along the way. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Get in the comments below. Tell us the most inspiring part of Albert's story for you. If you're listening on Spotify or podcasts, make sure you are subscribed and following the podcast so you get all the latest episodes. The next one is out on Monday. We'll see you then.